everybody. Welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. All right, today we have a letter, and the topic is 4 early signs that he's toxic. I'm going to give you 4 early signs that he's toxic. But we have a letter, so let's dive right into this letter and see what she says. I've been in a relationship about 2 months with a guy I met at work. Lately, I've started noticing some signs that make me feel a little uneasy. For example, if I step away from my desk, he immediately wants to know where I am. If I don't pick up his calls right away, he gets upset. He also seems to want to know everything about my life, where I go, who I'm with, and what I'm doing at all times. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much. He's already making you feel like you're in jail or something. At first, I thought it might be his way of showing he cares. A lot of us women, we make that mistake, thinking that it's because he cares about us. No. But now I'm starting to wonder if this is a sign of being too possessive. You're darn right it is. I'm not sure if this kind of behavior is good because it shows interest, or if it's a red flag that could turn into something unhealthy down the road. This is very unhealthy. This guy is toxic. And you've just been in a relationship for 2 months, and he's already setting the stage that you will answer to him at every turn. He's got to know where you're going, why you're going there, who you're going to be with, and probably what you talk about when you get there. You understand? He's going to be all over you. You don't want a relationship like that. In a relationship, you should have freedom. Freedom to move around, to talk to other people, to be with your family, to be with your friends. But if you're with a toxic, possessive person, he plans to shut all that down. And no telling what else he has coming down the road, because he's already showing his possessiveness very early in your relationship. Now, here are 4 early signs how you can tell if your man is toxic. All right, number 1, and you can be surprised about this one, love bombing. Overly attention, flattery, and affection very early on, which later shifts to withdrawal and criticism. Well, you know, narcissists do that with the love bombing. They're famous for the love bombing, and all that is a facade, an illusion, a big play to put on just to get you entangled with them. They don't mean any of it. Inconsistent behavior. All right? One day they hot, one day they cold. That's no good. Don't put it on. Oh, he's just having a bad day at work, or he's just not feeling good today. Don't put it on any of that. If you have a person that's hot and cold, that's going to be hard to maintain a good experience with them, because you never know when they're going to flip and what that trigger is that makes them flip. You don't have time or patience to try to figure that out. So it's best not to deal with it. They are affectionate one moment and distant and cruel the next moment. Now, let that go. Excessive jealousy or possessiveness. Acting controlling about where you go, who you talk to, or what you wear. That's right. Now, even when I was with the narcissist, in the very beginning, he tried to get control about what I wore, but I wouldn't let him do it. He tried to take control over, what type of dresses I wore, what colors I wore, and things like that. Or, and he would take me shopping and try to pick out dresses for me. I shut that down. No, I can pick out my own clothes. I don't need for you to tell me what to wear or how to wear it. So, yeah, there are men out there. If you allow it, they will take control over your appearance. Okay? Guilt tripping, making you feel bad expressing needs, setting boundaries, or wanting independence. Guilt tripping. Well, you know what? That's just a manipulation tactic trying to make you feel guilty about something probably that they did. Nothing for you to feel guilty about. When I was with the narcissist, he was always trying to make me feel guilty about things with my parents or things with my siblings or things like that. Things that in my life that he had no business in my life about, but he took it upon himself to try to use those things to make me feel guilty about it. You see, that's manipulation and control. Don't allow a man to do that. These people are toxic if they're doing it. All right, let's look at some other things that they do. Dismissive of your feelings, saying you're too sensitive, crazy, or overreacting. How many times has he told you, oh, you crazy? Pay no attention to you. Because he's dismissive of your feelings. He doesn't really care about your feelings. It's his feelings that are important, not yours. You get over it. That's what they tell you. Doesn't mean anything. And so you have to work out the way your feelings on your own time, because he refuses to deal with it. He's not going to be there to support you or make you feel any better. Okay? Twisting your words, gaslighting, denying what he said or did, making you question your own memory or perception. When I was with the narcissist, he was constantly gaslighting me. But I'm too smart for that. Don't tell me that I said something that I know I didn't. And don't tell me that you didn't say something when I know you did. You understand? It was constant gaslighting all the time. And if you are any way weak-minded or a person that just says, oh, well, maybe I didn't say it. Maybe, question yourself, then that's a narcissist playground, because he can get in your mind and make you think something that is not real. He'll create an illusion for you to believe in that's not real. All right, so you have to be careful of that. The narcissist is famous for gaslighting. Now, what about stonewalling? Shutting down conversations instead of resolving issues. Well, you know what? When I was in my last relationship, he never resolved any issue. And as far as shutting down, what it would do is get angry, storm off. And see, I'm not the type of person that's going to follow you or keep up an argument. I don't like to argue. I like to try to talk it out and resolve it. And if you are not about that, well, then if you storm off, I'm going to let you go. And I'm not going to follow you to try to resolve it either. So a lot of things never were resolved. It was always, that wall there. And it was never anything closed. But after I got on my spiritual path, I got all the answers that I needed that really just closed the deal. Okay? So you don't have to be left hanging in the lurch. This is what narcissists want you to stay hanging and not have any closure so they can come back and mess with you all over again. All right. Okay, now here's another one. Control and boundaries. The first ones that we talked about were the emotional red flags. Now, these are control and boundaries. Rushing intimacy. You know, the narcissist is famous for rushing intimacy. That's why I tell you, ladies, don't sleep with these men. No, don't sleep with them. You know, number one, that's why they dating you, to sleep with you. And most of them are not serious about you. They're just looking for a lay. Ladies, don't you be that, because most of you are looking for something solid, something serious. And you believe that having sex with them is going to lead to a real relationship, and you are just fooling yourself. It rarely does. Pushing for quick commitment, moving in, and even talking about marriage too soon. That's not a good thing, ladies. So if you have somebody, especially these men talking about marriage, they knew you in a month. No, run the other way. Crossing boundaries, ignoring or testing limits you clearly stated, emotional, physical, financial. For instance, don't give him your money. If you're on a date and a guy asks you for money, that's a red flag. I was uh, on a date with a man, and he came up short talking about that he didn't have his wallet and couldn't pay for his drink. I didn't even get a drink. His own drink he couldn't pay for. So I ended up paying. But you know what? This is not the type of man that I want to be with. So this was one of our very last dates. All right, that's a red flag, ladies. If you ever caught off there like that, don't go out with that loser again. Let it go. Okay? Isolation tactics. He will discourage you from seeing your friends and family and doing things so that you will be critical of those that you love. This is another tactic of the narcissist. He started right in on my family and why I shouldn't be with them and why I should feel guilty about them. He was always in my ear about that. That's a tactic. That's a red flag. If you're with somebody who's always in your ear with negative comments about your family and why you should move back and be away from them, you need to get away from him. Okay? He's trying to isolate you from friends and families. And that is a definite red flag. Okay? All right. And how about financial control? Early hints of monitoring how you spend your money and expecting you to cover his expenses. No. No, ladies, you are not there to support him in any way, shape, or fashion. Okay? And if you see a hint of it, you need to get away from him. Okay? He's not for you. That's one of the early signs. All right. Attitude and character. All right. This is early sign number 3. He has a victim mentality. When I was with the covert narcissist, he was always the victim. He was the victim in his last relationships. That just misunderstood. They just mistreated him in some kind of way. You see, he was a victim on his job. The work was too much. He needed help. Always the needy one. You don't need that. Uh-uh. And there were anger issues, overreacting to small inconveniences like traffic, waiters, and minor disagreements. In his own life, he had these little flare up issues of anger. And I saw that later in the relationship that he couldn't handle his own business well. All right. Um, so he would get angry because he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the stresses of uh, managing his own affairs. So you can tell probably someone else had been managing it for him. All right. You don't want to be with men like that. Okay. That's a red flag when he can't handle his own business. There's a double standard. Expecting loyalty and honesty or respect from you while not practicing it himself. You have an idea that he's a cheater. Okay. But he doesn't expect for you to be. He wants you to be fully transparent. But then you get an intuition. In your intuition, you feel uneasy about him. You feel like you can't trust him all the way. That's a sign that he's toxic. You always listen to your intuition. Never brush it aside and say, well, no, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. When you get that inkling, go with that feeling. It's never wrong. Um, if he shows disrespect toward others, how he treats servers, strangers, or even his own family says a lot. So you want to see him around other people before you give your heart to these people, because it will tell you a lot the way that other people treat him and the way that he treats other people. You know, I was with a date one time and I watched the way that he acted when certain people came around. And he was like a bower scraper kind of person. And I lost respect for him when I saw him doing that, bowing and scraping for a certain type of people. No, I want a man who's strong and confident with any people, no matter what. And it doesn't matter about their status in life or whatever. I want a man who's strong enough to hold his own. And he showed that it wasn't him. So this is why, ladies, you take your time with men and you want to see these early toxic signs before you give your heart to him. Okay? So don't be rushed in these relationships. When you meet a man, take your time. Take it slow. Now, remember, when he meets you, he's got sex on the brain. Sex is foremost. And then he'll see whether, he wants to hang around and maybe have a relationship with you. But sex is the main thing on his mind when he dates you. Ladies, you'll be smart to hold it off. Get to know who he is first. All right? And if you're not having sex, that's the best way to get to know who he really is. And if he's the type of man you even want in your life. Okay? You be in charge. Instead of giving him the power to choose you, you keep the power and choose him. Okay, I hope that you understand the topic today of the 4 signs that he is toxic. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that I was clear, and I hope that the message can help someone. Now, those of you who may have a question that you'd like for me to answer, my email address is in the description. And if you're looking for today's affirmation and movement, the link is also in the description. I want to thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for your comments and your letters. And a very special thank you to those that leave a donation. Your donations actually help the channel to grow. So I really want to thank you for that. I appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best and happiness. And I really hope to see you next time.